Japan is a country where nearly 75% of its land is mountainous, and it frequently faces earthquakes, tsunamis, and harsh winters. Although agricultural land occupies only a very small fraction of its land area, this country of over 120 million people still creates one of the most valuable and precise food systems in the world. Each year, millions of tons of seafood are brought ashore from the frigid oceans surrounding Japan. High-end snow crabs can fetch thousands of dollars at auctions. Meanwhile, these musk melons are so perfect that they're sold as a luxury item. What amazes the world isn't just the quality, but how the Japanese create value from scarcity. Go discover Japan's biggest harvest season, 2026. How Japanese farmers harvest millions of tons of food. Amidst the harsh winter of the Salmon Sea, when temperatures plummet to near freezing and the sea is shrouded in darkness, Japanese snow crab fishing vessels begin to leave port. Out there, amidst the cold wind and icy waves, they are pursuing one of Asia's most prized seafoods. Heavy steel traps are lowered into the frigid waters hundreds of meters below the surface. Hours later, when the system is pulled back, snow crabs covered in sea ice emerge under the cold white lights on the ship's deck. Some high-quality specimens sell for thousands of dollars just hours after leaving the ocean. But what makes this profession different is not just its value. In Japan, snow crab is not simply seafood. It's a combination of fishing skill, quality control, and near-perfect precision. Only mature male crabs that meet the standards are kept. Each claw is carefully inspected, while female and juvenile crabs are immediately released back into the sea to protect them for the next harvesting season. The most perfect crabs are even tagged with traceability information before being sent to high-end auction markets. A small scratch, an uneven claw, or a few hours of processing delay can completely change the value of a crab. And that's what makes the Japanese food world so special. Here, food isn't just caught or harvested, it's selected like a work of art. But while the icy seas create luxury through their cold, the mountains of Japan create sweetness in a completely different way. Each year, Japan harvests over 800,000 tons of Mikan tangerines, making them one of the country's most popular and iconic fruits. Wakayama Prefecture alone, Japan's most famous Mikan growing region, contributes hundreds of thousands of tons each season from its orchards clinging to the mountain slopes overlooking the sea. Here, thousands of mandarin trees grow on such steep terrain that machinery is almost impossible to operate. Sunlight reflected from the water helps the fruit absorb extra heat, while the rocky soil drains extremely quickly, resulting in a richer and more balanced sweetness. It is these harsh conditions that have created the famous Mikan oranges throughout Japan. But what amazes the world isn't just the yield or the flavor. The harvest takes place almost in silence. Workers carry specialized shears, gently turning each fruit before cutting to avoid damaging the delicate outer skin. No one pulls or picks them hastily because in Japan, even a small scratch can completely change the value of the fruit. Right on the mountainside, the tangerines are sorted by color, size, and surface perfection. The most beautiful ones appear in high-end gift boxes, where the fruit is treated almost like a luxury item. And perhaps that is what makes Japan so special. And this pursuit of perfection isn't confined to the mountains. Off the coast of Japan, the ocean is also creating luxury products in an equally cold and harsh way. In Japan, there are fish that sell for as much as premium Wagyu beef. And astonishingly, before appearing in upscale sushi restaurants, they spend months being cared for almost like living works of art. Off the coast of Japan, thousands of hamachi cages float in the deep sea like giant ocean farms. Each year, millions of fish are raised under strictly controlled conditions, from water temperature and oxygen levels to diet, to create a perfectly balanced and soft layer of fat. But here, growth rate isn't the biggest priority. The Japanese are willing to spend more time just to produce meat that's a few percent better in quality. Before harvest, the amount of feed is even reduced to clean the meat's flavor and optimize the fish's internal texture. When hamachi is pulled out of the water, the processing begins immediately. Under the cool light, the sashimi blades reflect a silvery sheen as the fish is processed using the ikajime technique, a renowned method that preserves the freshness, color, and texture of the flesh almost perfectly. And then the flesh is revealed. Soft streaks of fat run along the fish's texture, glistening under the light like marble. That's the moment many realize they're no longer looking at an ordinary seafood. From tangerines on mountain slopes to hamachi fish in the deep sea, Japan is doing the same thing, transforming food into symbols of perfection. Most people believe they've eaten wasabi, but the truth is, over 90% of the wasabi served worldwide is just a mixture of horseradish, food coloring, and mustard. Wasabi is so rare that many Japanese people have never even tasted its original version. Deep within Japan's cold mountains lie wasabi farms, nestled along pristine streams that flow year-round. This plant can barely thrive if the water temperature exceeds 46 to 59 degrees Fahrenheit, 8 to 15 degrees Celsius. Even a slight change in temperature, flow, or water quality can ruin an entire crop. Amazingly, it takes almost 2 years for a single wasabi root to reach harvest size. During that time, farmers must carefully cultivate each small rocky field under a constant stream of cold water flowing from the high mountains. Unlike the strong spiciness often found in many restaurants, real wasabi creates a clean, aromatic sensation that changes very quickly on the tongue. And that's what makes Japanese food so special. Not only is it rare, but it's also beautiful in a way that's almost impossible to preserve forever. Every year, when the salmon season begins, millions of fish from the frigid ocean return to the rivers of northern Japan. And for hundreds of years, even before electricity or refrigerators existed, the Japanese learned to turn that short fishing season into a food source sufficient to sustain them through the long, harsh winter. Along the frigid coastal villages of Hokkaido and northern Japan, salmon are processed as soon as they arrive at the docks. Each fish is manually gutted, cleaned, and carefully salted before being hung in long rows in the frigid sea air. Under the winter winds, the transformation process begins slowly. The fish skin gradually dries and white salt crystals form on the surface. Water slowly evaporates from each fiber of flesh, leaving behind a rich umami flavor, a taste that has been the foundation of Japanese cuisine for centuries.
Let it keep running until we get to where we want.
Amazingly, this method has remained virtually unchanged over time. No modern machinery, no complex technology, just salt, sea breeze, and natural cold temperatures. In many coastal regions, dried salmon is more than just a food reserve. It is a memory of harsh winters, a survival skill passed down from generation to generation in a country that has always had to learn to adapt to nature. And that's what makes Japanese cuisine so special. While many places strive to produce faster and in larger quantities, the Japanese have spent centuries perfecting the simplest methods to the point where they almost become art forms. In Japan, there have been pairs of melons that have sold for over $20,000 at early season auctions. And what amazes the world is that these aren't diamonds, watches, or works of art. They're fruit. In Hokkaido, the home of the famous Yubari melons, modern greenhouses operate more like laboratories than conventional farms. Temperature, light, humidity, and water levels are all precisely controlled to produce the most perfect melons. But the most remarkable thing lies in the way the Japanese care for each fruit. Almost only one fruit is left on each tree, so that all the nutrients are concentrated in that single fruit. Farmers constantly check the shape, rotate the rind to receive sunlight, and even gently wipe or massage the skin with their hands to create the perfect net-like surface characteristic of yubari melons. Under the greenhouse lights, the melons appear almost flawless. Workers wear white gloves as they inspect every minute detail on the surface before sending them to high-end fruit auctions. Then the rhythm of Japan suddenly changed. After the quiet greenhouses, the melons cared for like treasures, and the slow, handcrafted processes that lasted for months. The ocean immediately sped everything up again. Millions of herring migrate in massive schools beneath the cold waters of northern Japan. And during the brief period of the fishing season, the entire processing system begins operating at a near non-stop pace. Their target was herring, a tiny fish once considered Japan's living silver. During peak season, dense schools of fish stretched for kilometers, transforming the sea surface into shimmering, constantly moving streaks of light. The fishermen raced against time. In just a few short hours, they had to pinpoint the school's movements, cast their massive nets, and quickly encircle them before the entire school disappeared into the cold, deep waters. And then the moment of explosion arrived. Tons of silvery herring surged onto the deck amidst the clanging of metal, the roaring of water, and the frantic shouts of the sailors. Everything happened so fast that a delay of just a few minutes could ruin the entire hunt. Metal conveyor belts run continuously under the cold white lights. Seawater splashes across the factory floor. Cutting blades reflect light constantly amidst the roar of engines and the incessant clatter of containers. Metal conveyor belts run continuously under the cold white lights. Seawater splashes across the factory floor. Cutting blades reflect light constantly amidst the roar of engines and the incessant clatter of containers. In just a few minutes, the fish roe is separated, cleaned, sorted, and packaged before becoming kazunoko, a premium herring roe dish found in sushi and traditional Japanese meals. Here, speed is everything. Remarkably, despite operating on an industrial scale, the Japanese maintain near-perfect precision in every small detail. There are some dishes in Japan that millions of foreigners find inedible after just one try. And natto is perhaps the most famous example of that. From simple steamed soybeans, the Japanese created a dish with a strong smell, a sticky, stringy texture, and a flavor that has been debated for generations. But astonishingly, natto has existed for over 1,000 years and still appears in millions of Japanese breakfasts every day. The process of making natto begins with fermenting soybeans with special bacteria under tightly controlled temperature conditions. Over time, bacteria completely transform the structure of the bean, creating a distinctive slimy layer that amazes many at first glance. But for the Japanese, natto is more than just food. Japan does not have vast fields or abundant agricultural resources like many other countries. Nearly 75% of its land is mountainous. Natural disasters occur frequently, and the natural conditions are always harsh. From icy seas to mountain farms, Japan has transformed the harvest season into an art of precision and perfection. If you want to continue exploring the world's most incredible production systems, don't forget to sign up for Go Discover to join us on our next adventures.